April 2nd. Hope everyone's doing well. Everyone enjoyed also their Easter day weekend. And we'll continue on with our normal regular business duties here. So first thing we will do is the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. First thing on the agenda here tonight is if we can get a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented for tonight.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Do we have anyone set up for, or signed up, for any public comments at all? Okay, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda here is approval of the minutes from our February 27th meeting as presented here. I know we just had a handout here sent out to us, so we'll take a few minutes here just to go over it, and then we'll put it to motion if it's okay.
Yeah, working on that.
Okay.
Woo. That natural heat.
Yes.
But at least we can do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So many levels of security. I have to log into one website, do the multi-factor authentication, and then it will let me log into another website.
That's crazy.
And that's just to get to the AC.
I mean, I guess it's a good thing, but
It is, people can't hop on and, I don't know, cook us.
All right. Yeah, we can go ahead and put a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the February 27th meeting as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the February 27th meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second it with the changes of Kim Kelly's job
Position.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second, and with those edits as well there too. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next is the approval of the CEO report as presented here from the April 2nd one. There is a handout also as well there too. We can go for a few minutes for that, and then if any further discussion, we'll start with that as well. All right, if not, we can go and put a motion. We must to approve the April 2nd CEO report as presented.
I make a motion to accept the March 2024 CEO report presented April 2nd as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The breezeway work, that's what's going on at the front of the building out here, right? Okay, I just want to make sure I was making the right connection there.
Yes, you guys got to walk through the interesting part of the building. So that obviously was not really a planned improvement to our building, however, a little bit necessary.
Yeah.
So we did start noticing some weird crumbling. Over the summer, it looked like ant destruction on the ground, and we actually did have some ants, so came out, had Baxter's do all that, like, oh yeah, this is ant debris, and cleaned it up. And so then basically in January, late December, January, the ants aren't here. And realized that it was a little bit more serious than ants, and so it is some settling of the breezeway project. Breezeway was installed in about 1998, and that was an addition that Anderson Community Schools put on there. They used to have to walk outside to go between those two sections of the building. And so while it has been glorious for that, there has been some settling, and so we are having to kind of fix that real quick. And then the cafeteria is also impacted over by where basically our laundry area is. And it's not impacting really anything inside, but that's a big yet if we had just let it go. So I'm glad that we were able to catch that when we did, and that we can do this repair to it. It is going to be pretty pricey by the time everything's said and done, but jump ahead that we got that one grant. So this building, as soon as we say the G word around it, apparently just likes to create new issues.
We did have grant funds to cover that, though.
Yeah, we'll be okay, thankfully, on how all that works out, but probably would have rather done that on some other fun stuff.
Yes.
Will this also help with the basement?
In theory, yes. And that is this section of the building. The basement's actually been pretty dry and fixed for a while, right? Now I will say that our building, our parking lot, and Anderson utilities were no match for last night's torrential downpour. The system definitely got overused, I guess, a little overworked last night. The Payless, the bend that goes that way, big flooding again this morning, and it did actually impact us. We have a little bit of a backup that went through the showers, and we have not had that in several years because of all the improvements that we have done. But that storm was a little fun last night, so reminded us of how far we've come. Because it used to be every time it rained, we're like, ooh, okay. So in theory, we'll get that area kind of put back up. And they have actually gone through and they've assessed all of our buildings, because, when it rains, it pours. And this was the only issue they found here at 29th Street. They found nothing at 22nd or at 25th.
Good.
So good there, but I figured a little proactivity might go a really long way.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Better know in advance.
yes.
How many openings are we going to have at the elementary for next year?
So at the elementary, we have anticipated up to 8, which does seem to be kind of a larger number. It's definitely more than we are used to in that building, but we've had 3 pregnancies this year. We've got 2 retirements. We have some people that are moving out of the state. We have one considering moving out of the country. So that's kind of where we're at on that. So far, pretty much as one comes in to let us know that that's going to happen, we had a lot of amazing student teachers this year, and so we've been able to offer and have them accept for those positions. So really hate to see, especially some of our longtime people go. But we do know some of the two that are going into retirement, very well deserved, well earned, just kind of a loss for us. But we are just working through it.
Does VSU offer like a platform or a portal, since we have since they oversee our charter for schools and like resources such as like teachers?
Not necessarily a portal.
Yeah.
So Ball State, they're actually where we're getting most of the student teachers,
Okay.
which is new.
Which is good.
We're very thankful for that because they had chosen not to send them into our type of an environment. However, several years ago, they used to have a teacher's fair, right?
Okay.
You could go and you could interview on site, offer on site if you really found like, that unicorn. But they've not held one in many years because they've not had enough education students, or most of them have already been offered. So we went this year, they had a general job fair, career fair for just pretty much any kind of major. So we signed up to go, and they called us, we're like, this isn't for teachers. We're like, we are not above borrowing from other industries, right? Who knows who we could find while we're there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we did go ahead and go there. I don't know that we have really found any teachers that came out of that yet,
Okay.
but it did actually help us get some families and also help us get some more information or connections with kind of that early childhood and those other areas. So it was definitely worth our time and expense to go. But yeah, right now, a lot of the education programs are struggling. And
Yeah.
so there's less way to advertise it. Because if you look kind of even on like our DOE advertisement, there's over 2,000 jobs right now. So working through that, the state is helping support a lot of Grow Your Own. So we do have a few instructional aides that are actually in college right now. And so we're trying to help support them through that programming and get other people that we know are interested, because so many education programs, they're just paying for it now, which that's fantastic, right? And so that's kind of where that hope is right now. But yeah, we've reached out to multiple education as far south as like Marion University, but again, a lot of them, not so many candidates as we've been used to.
Okay.
So I will say, on the flip side, we had 2 of our seniors apply for the Next Gen Education Scholarship, which is for the next generation of teachers. APA has a little bit of a connection to that because we helped get one of our graduates, Mr. Stottlemyre, to go down and testify that they should include current college kids too, not just high school applicants. He got it changed and he got the scholarship, which was $7,000 a year, and now 2 of our seniors just got it, which, sorry, Mrs. Stottlemyre, but last year it got bumped up to $10,000 a year. So
That's great.
we have 2 of our seniors that they just got $40,000 to go to college and become teachers. So we're starting even earlier.
That's
And
great.
they are also part of our cadet teaching program. So
Good.
really starting young.
That's good.
What's the plans with the music department?
Well, that's been an interesting 36 hours. So right now, we the current proposal that is in front of me, Dr. Strother is also an instrumentalist. That's actually his principal area is instrumental.
Okay.
And so to help work through, we're past jazz season. This is more preparing for spring concert. This is more preparing for graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at having him do split periods and supplementing with another instructor. So that if he's doing instrumental, right, there's someone over in the choral area. We have already had, it's Chris Jones from Pendleton. He had a student teacher that's finishing up. And so Christopher, has reached out to say, hey, I might have a candidate for you guys. He does music if you want a music educator in our state, Pages is the job list to be on, and they've already reached out to us as well.
Good.
So one of the things that, and I was complimenting this earlier, the music education community, right? They don't want positions to go unfilled,
Right.
and they really try to rally around. Things happen, right? This wasn't planned, but there's some life circumstances there, and so it was kind of a surprise for everybody. But they're trying to help us as much as they can get that support in. A lot of times they will connect a school with like a retired music educator to help finish out while you work on getting a new replacement. But we do actually have 2 staff members that are music licensed currently besides our elementary that can provide some support. So we'll get through it just like we always do.
Now, Dr. Strother has a couple young people that are recent graduates that have like been coming in and helping him or something.
So he does for choir. He did
Right.
have a volunteer that was helping with show choir season. But that is not something where we would have them kind of step in or take over.
I didn't know if they would still be able to like help with the choir portion while Dr. Strother was maybe doing the instrumental portion or something. I didn't know what that kind of situation is.
And the way that class period is set up, actually Dr. Strother was helping co-teach with show choir during that time period, so there won't be an instrumental period during that. So we will just keep going.
Thank you for that.
Hey, no problem.
Any other further discussion at all? All right, if not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next thing on the agenda here is our financial report. I know Mr. Ashby is unfortunately not here this evening, but we have Beth and Andrea on the call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm
yes.
not David, but I'll give you a report.
Okay, thank you so much. I was going to turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Okay, so February was a fairly uneventful month. Just a couple highlights. The special ed was trued up in the month of February, so you received about another $77.88 additional of monies for that. We didn't receive the safety grant this month, which was about $15,000 or $18,000. So we should receive that next month. We've got it moved over, but we just didn't receive that. So that's different from what the budget is. And then we had our student fees were about $12,400, and then fundraising was off from what we budgeted, about $6,400. But you never know when that's going to come in, so that wasn't necessarily anything bad. It's just the timing of it all. As far as expenses, you'll note that you'll see on the very top line of expenses, we had another one of those payrolls that was the 3-1 payroll that came in February because of the way the month falls and the way the payroll company takes it out. And that was $224,255, which honestly is pretty much what the total difference to the budget is, because the total expenses are $1,075,598, and we budgeted $964,599. So pretty much that's where everything is. There was nothing major in expenses, and I did this a little bit different because I know David's not here to appreciate this, but I can tell him next month that it always bugged him that we put that in because in the accounting for charter schools, you have to put it in as an expense, and then the next month when it is adjusted, it's a revenue, which that is the way we'll have to do it. But just for cash flow purposes, I put it in the next month under expense as a negative, so it just offsets each other. So I think that'll be a little more clear for what normal people, I say non-school people, look at things. So it makes it maybe a little more, understandable. So that's how I've done that. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. So I did that. And then the other thing is you'll see down in their software, like line 179, there's software for like 9750, and that's for Raptor software, which relates to the safety grant. So that was an expense we had this month, but it relates to the money we're receiving on the grant. Overall, our ending cash at 6/30 is projected to be $457,652, which is off from what we had projected our budget to be of $484,300, which is about where we were in January. It's a little bit more, it's about 30,000. We still have the difference of that computers, which is 133,253 of the money that we received last year that we had to pay for the expenses because of how the bank did it, which again, you know, is a little off, but we have to talk about it every month. But so we still haven't purchased those, which I think maybe you're buying them this month, Jill, is that correct? Okay. So we'll see that cash being used as far as that. There really, as far as anything else, there wasn't necessarily anything really else real big going through here. Our ending cash for the month of January was $744,973. So of all of our cash accounts and everything. Did anyone, when they looked it over, have any specific questions?
Any questions at all? No, none at all. Perfect. Thank you for that, Beth. We appreciate that. All right, if anyone doesn't have any questions, I'm going to put a motion to approve our board treasury report and our monthly financials as well too this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve last month's financials.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Thank you again, Beth. Thank you again, Andrea, also. Good seeing y'all, and we appreciate as always what you guys do. All right, thank you. Have a good one. Let's see you. All right, that is taken care of for that. Thanks, Kim. See you. All right.
Bye, Kim.
All right, nothing for old business. Next is new business. First thing on the agenda here is our APA spotlight for an APA online from Captain Morrison.
Yay!
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I have a presentation,
Okay.
so I don't know where to put that.
We'll let you and Mr. Johnson, would you?
Anywhere is fine.
Okay, you want on TV or?
Yeah, I think
We can do
we'll
that.
get him set
Okay.
up on that.
We'll get you set up.
Perfect.
Little cartoons on.
I feel like it might know who our thief is.
Siri, I can use this, just skip forward.
Very one.
I did print out as well while that's setting up.
Yeah.
Just because I like to look at an actual
Yeah,
piece of
thank you.
paper sometimes. Makes it a little easier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Jill, I have a question real quick. We didn't do the
Flip through
board
it while you're doing
treasurer
everything.
That's all right.
report since Ashby's not here. So,
For that, it was just provided by Beth.
just provided by Beth, but
Yeah.
do we have to approve the treasurer's report itself along with the financial report?
No.
No?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
The report was basically a secondary document.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you all for having me tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to present about the online program. For anyone that doesn't know who I am, my name is Zach Morrison, and I am the director of the online program. I joined APA in 2009, so that's 15 years ago.
We won't count that.
I know, it's crazy to say it. I originally taught visual arts through grades 5 through 12, throughout the years while I did that. And then in 2020, we encountered COVID, which kind of launched into this whole other tailspin of a life, so to speak. I earned my master's in emerging media design and development from Ball State University in 2021. And part of that, my capstone, was actually creating the online program that we have here that kind of helped get us through that initial year of COVID stress. It has continued to develop. We continue to offer an alternative option for students as opposed to just being in the building. My role can be kind of thought as I'm part principal, part teacher, part counselor. I just kind of am there to solve all the problems I can. If I can't solve them, then my role is to figure out who can solve them. Okay.
And he's really great at it.
Thank you. Just a quick overview. The program is a virtual program, meaning students are not on site. They are typically at home. We follow the same academic calendar as in person. We use many of the same digital curricula pieces, including IXL and Edgenuity, which are our bigger pieces for grades 6 through 12. Students meet with their online teachers regularly, and they're encouraged to keep a steady schedule. We typically encourage them to work from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., but we do have some of the older ones that work during the normal school day, and so they do their work in the evenings. We offer students the opportunity to work ahead of schedule, advancing faster than they could in person, and then if they start falling behind, we are trying to communicate and work with them to get them caught back up. Grades K through 5 are run by John Hayden. Grades 6 through 8 are with Derek Kramer, and then I have the grades 9 through 12. We do have some additional supports. For K through 5, Heather Bundy helps with some of the attendance tracking pieces there. 6 through 8 general help, as well as 9 through 12 Spanish is with Veronica Marquez by appointment typically. And then on occasion, Mr. Barker helps us out with math if it's something that I can't help with. And then generally everything else I try to help with. And then if it's something beyond me, on occasion chemistry gets a little tricky, then we try to work to get that student connected with someone who is a little bit more knowledgeable. All right. Some enrollment information. This has already changed as of 3 o'clock today. I got 2 emails, so I know it's already different. But our total enrollment is 101 students as of this morning, which represents about 12% of the corporation. It is broken down there by entity as well as by grade level. I'm not going to read all that. Student demographics. Pretty much for the K-12 online program, it's typical or similar to what we have in person. We do have 25 SSE students, which represents almost 25% of the program. We have 8 high ability students, as well as 5 EL students. We do have 3 who have been identified as homeless, which also presents a unique challenge. And again, that's all broken down by entity if you're really interested and want to see that breakdown. So why APA online? There's not an easy one-size-fits-all answer. We have a lot of students, or actually not a lot, but we have students with medical issues that prevent them from being in the building for various reasons. We have students that have some social anxiety issues, as well as behavioral challenges. Typically K through 8 are more of the behavioral challenges. And then we also see peer conflict that we can't resolve, so we just choose to change the format of instruction. Transportation, we have several that they are not able to get to the buildings. Part of that is because they are moving to other areas in the state. We have one in Fort Wayne, and just so their location and proximity to the buildings, it doesn't allow for them. Some of these kids have been with us for a long time and they just want to stay with APA. Others, it is just an opportunity to continue on, I guess. And then, like I said, we do have several that are working in the high school. They work various shifts and things. Curriculum and approaches. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but you can see we have a lot of different approaches we're trying with the elementary. A lot of different digital curriculum to support the math and reading. And then as we get older, the programs get a little bit smaller, fewer program options, and then we are also meeting a little bit less frequently. So K through 5, they meet daily, generally twice a day. 6 through 8 is 3 times a week, and that is dependent on Mr. Kramer's in-person schedule because he does do in-person instruction as well. And then I typically meet with my kids at 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 8 a.m. is not an overly popular time, so they're not always really well attended, but it is there. The goal is that that is an opportunity to check in, give students an opportunity to voice, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I've got a question about this. If it's something they don't want to talk about in front of other people, totally get that. That's an opportunity to say, hey, can I schedule a meeting with you? That's kind of how that goes. Looking at academic performance, K through 5 overall growth, this is IXL data. And I just want to make a note that data is really tricky in the online realm because our population is constantly changing. So we have 3 kindergarten students that we did not have approximately a month ago. So some of this data is, we're just kind of catching up there. But K-5 overall growth, we've gone up 0.68 grade levels in math and 0.41 grade levels in English. And I am working with the elementary leadership team to see what we can do to try to drive those up a little bit, especially that language arts. We're aware that there's room for growth there. 6 through 8 overall growth, again, this is coming from IXL, which is really great because it just spits out like, this is the approximate growth your kid has made as far as grade level growth. So math, we've gone up 1.13 grade levels. Language arts has gone up 2.25 grade levels this year, which is really great, very exciting to see. As I was putting this together, it was kind of like, okay, so not all the data is really, sometimes it feels that way. Looking at 9 through 12, it's not as easy because we don't have the IXL for every single class. And so I kind of just did it based on term 1 and term 2 and term 3 finals. So about 50% of grades 9 through 12 passed all of their classes for the first 2 terms. And you can see I have the in-person equivalent off to the side so you can kind of compare. Term 3, I'm taking this as my win right now. We had 53% officially right now, but that'll be up to 59% tomorrow after I submit some grade change requests. So I'm feeling very positive about that. Obviously still room to grow, but we're trending in the right direction.
So that means then that more percent of your students passed than our in-person students? Is that
okay,
correct?
For those specific terms,
yeah,
it
for
does
term 3.
appear that way. I would need to go through and like a fine-tooth comb with all the data, right, to really parse it all out. But we're close. We're close in that section. And again, some of this is tricky because term 2, like I know there were 5 kids that switched to in-person for term 3, and term 3 we had several that switched from in-person to virtual, and so that's kind of might explain some of those shifting numbers a little bit. Looking at our seniors, we have 13 seniors who are online right now. When you go to graduate, you have 3 pathways you have to meet. Pathway 1 is just earning your credits. Right now we have 11 that are on track to do that. We have 2 that are on the bubble. 1, I would say I'm almost comfortable saying that they're gonna make it. The other one, I'm still iffy. They could do it, it's just gonna be a matter of if they get it done on time. Looking at pathway 2, which is, we kind of call it getting involved. It is the work-based, service-based learning opportunities, things of that nature. We have 10 that have met that requirement, which means 3 need to verify or fulfill it. I think I got 2 emails this afternoon regarding pathway 2, so I'm hoping to get all those dots, or those I's dotted and T's crossed. Looking at pathway 3, which is to pass either ASVAB, ACT, SAT, earn an honors diploma. There are a lot of different ones. We have 8 that have already fulfilled that. We have 5 that need to fulfill. There are some steps that they have to do, and then we may be looking at waivers and how that process might look. But we are pretty close there with those 13 seniors. Looking at the 2 early grad juniors, we have 1 that completed in December. She met all of the credits. We have another who's on track to complete in May, and she is looking good on everything. She's one of them. She also just emailed me about pathway 2. Looking at pathway 2, they both need to verify that, and then pathway 3 has been met by both of them. So we're looking strong in that area as well. Some challenges and solutions. So I kind of mentioned that one of the challenges is people switching in and out of the entities. That creates a unique challenge just for tracking information. But then attendance has been a really big thing that we've hit really hard this year, really trying to make sure parents are informed. So we are sending daily login reminders at 1 p.m. I send an email and a remind notification to the parents and the student. Hey, it's 1 o'clock, you've not logged in. Please log in by this point. If not, here's the phone number and leave a message. We've been sending notifications the next day if an absence was entered for the prior day, so that there's no question about that. And then I'm sending weekly session logs to grades 9 through 12. It's just a snapshot. It shows like their actual session log on there. And that since I've started doing that, we've started seeing an increase in attendance, so better attendance since that has happened. Looking at academic progress, it's a similar thing. We're sending weekly reports home, K through 12. Those are based on the different programs we use. Some of them have reports, some of them we're putting together ourselves, but the goal is that at least once a week, our families are getting information on where their student is. And then Skyward, of course, gets updated regularly based on those reports. And then looking at social interaction, this is one where I really am struggling. This is an area of major growth opportunity. We have tried doing in-person lessons. We have tried doing makerspace activities. We just don't get very many people attending. Part of that is possibly due to the nature of our people, right? Like they're online, they don't want to be in person, maybe that's so that could be part of it, but definitely the social interaction is a piece. I have a niece and nephew that are in the pre-academy, and that is something that personally I do have concerns about, so it's something that we want to work on.
If I could ask you a question first, the attendance, have you had any, or somebody gets close to a threshold that you may have to reconsider, saying that more likely the virtual's not working, you probably may need to revisit coming back in person, or another further discussion, or vice versa from there?
Yes, we have a progressive policy that,
okay.
It's at 10 days, they get notices up until 10 days. At 10 days, the policy is to notify the prosecutor's office, and then we continue notifying and trying to get the student to work, talk about their options, that kind of thing. And then if they get to 18 days, the policy is at that point we can pursue due process. We have several that are much further beyond that date that we are trying to work with. If we notice that they are doing better toward, they're logging in at this point, then we're able to work with them a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, and the attendance, that is a growing concern. Again, not just here at APA, right? The legislators are trying to do some stuff about it, but especially after COVID, getting people to get to school, getting parents to take that responsibility seriously, back when they could get quarantined, right? Well, we all know the learning gaps that have happened. We all know the adolescent development, how that has been negatively impacted by it. We know their social, their emotional learning, that's significantly impacted by not being here. Mental health. There's a huge list of all the reasons why, yes, they need to come to school, especially when you're trying to build foundations to help them master academics. But a lot of the familial situations or those things, right, that is something that we get yelled at a lot about sometimes, and we're trying to do everything we can, just like everybody else in the state is, but if the prosecutor's office doesn't send a liaison to help, right, or if we can't get families to respond to us, right, the Department of Ed pretty much is the luck guys on this as well. Same with like the legislators, where they're like, oh, we're gonna try to push this, but nobody's looking at that root cause, and that we don't have enough humans to go help, right? So, I definitely applaud Zach on this, because he's really been able to get a lot of his kids to re-engage, get his families to re-engage, and I know he has spent almost 4 years now trying to figure out, right, how to dissect this. What else can we do? Smoke signals, pigeon carriers. Should we go to the house and knock on the door, just hey, are we awake? Let's go, right? And so finally, it's nice to see him actually getting some benefits from that. And, you know, at the end of the day, the kids are the ones, right? That's part of why more kids are passing. We're seeing more engagement. We're having the talk about graduation, where for us, we're about 2 months away from the walk on the stage, right? This is being recorded, don't tell the seniors, right? But that's a lot of time for us to still get them to where they need to be. We're not having this conversation a week before graduation. So again, props on that, but also big issue across the state and nation for us to figure out in our spare time with the other stuff too.
I'm assuming that with the high school students that are working, that there's been like a specific workaround for each one of those to make sure that they're being able to still work, but
Yes.
so if they're not getting logged in until later on, there's that.
Yeah, so I have one in particular that he is consistently on my 1 o'clock remind list, but I don't send the email. I only send that if I notice that he is not logged in that night or the next day when he's not logged in, and I'll send that to the parents and just say, hey, just so you know, if he said he was in, he wasn't, you know, that kind of thing.
Now, isn't there like a law of like, if you're a certain age and you're still in school, they can only work you X number of hours or something?
I think that was with the work permit, and that ended a couple of years, 2-3 years ago, something like that.
So schools no longer issue the work permits, the employers do. So the enforcement of that, as well as the withdrawal of it, now is out of the school's toolbox.
Yeah, because
for
that was a tool we were using at the start when we started. But.
And, you know, we know our kids that are working, right? There's a reason for that. It's not just to get a PS5. And I would say 99.9% of their cases, right? And so they have made it, the state had to add some flexibility. It has made it more challenging. We do know that we have kids that are working probably way more hours than they should be.
Some of them love to work, some, you know, do want to stay for a reason or,
And so that has made it a little more difficult to try to work through that. Although it did help us last year. We have a kiddo who, for some reason, just wouldn't graduate, just wouldn't finish that up, right? Like they were coming here in their PJs, Zach was going to their house, we're stopping the mom, like everybody, hey guys, what can we do? Their boss also happens to be one of our parents and mentioned the kiddo to me. And he said, yeah, if I could, you know, once he gets that diploma, I'm gonna make him a manager. Oh, thank you for that information, right? Because that kid, that was his passion. It's been a thing for him. And so as soon as we could activate that knowledge and that mentorship, we finally got through a 2-year battle.
Yes.
So
that's good.
And we have one this year that's in a similar motivating factor as work. I've got to graduate so I can move forward at work. So. It's kind of different, I guess.
Yeah.
I think this is the last slide besides the questions slide. Just future directions.
We jumped the gun.
Hey, not a problem. I'm flexible.
that's how we roll.
I'm an online person. I can be flexible. Looking at the future stuff, summer school. We are doing credit recovery for 9 through 12. We will also have 1, possibly 2, that are going to be taking credits for their first time over the summer. So excited about that. And then those would be both students who would be up to graduate early next year, if everything goes according to plan. Looking at an emphasis on the graduation pathways for grades 9 through 12. So starting the year out with these pathways, I did not realize until relatively recently, like you can earn all of your credits and not graduate, which is just crazy.
Yes.
So,
because of like
because
the
you have
other
to meet the other
two
pathways.
pathways.
Yes. So once that really sunk in, it was like, okay, we've got to get these kids going, like they've got to get these pathways. Looking at science of reading, expanding that into the K-12 or K-8 online program next year. Looking at electives being options for grades 6 through 8, which is we go back and forth. It's really like pulling teeth to get them to do what they're enrolled in now. So Is adding extra going to work? I don't know. It might if it excites them, so I don't know. Military science component, that is something we've struggled with since the inception. There are some unique challenges getting the military science piece into an online format. Community service is also an area where we need to grow in the online program, having a bit more of an actual plan in place for that. And then, of course, just continued growth with the program, continued enrollment growth. Miss Evelyn might like to say that she would like the virtual program to end, but I don't foresee us going anywhere, at least not right now. So
There's too many benefits for it, and with us keeping that program, I've heard, so many people that appreciated that, to be able to have that option still for,
and it has really helped us. I know that some of the challenges that we're facing with the kids that are kind of going back and forth, that does present an entirely unique set of things to consider. But when we have some kids that maybe the social aspects of being in person have not been going so great for them, right? To be able to have a place that we can kind of help them through some of those, and so just having to say, sorry, we're not the school for you, I think that's helped us save a couple of kiddos from some really bad pathways. Not always, right? Because situations happen. And being able to find a better way to have that type of thing happen. But I do think it matters. And the families that we're serving and being able to be accommodating to the life situations that have happened. The kiddos that are McKinney-Vento kids that basically they qualify for homeless services, or we have had some shelter, domestic violence type of situation, right? We're able to still help kids, reach them, and show them that people are actively engaged with them, and then welcome them back to APA events, right? And let them have that authentic school experience, but also dealing with some pretty big things. The life that some of these kiddos, especially in Zach's program, that they're working through, right? I don't know what would happen to them if we didn't have our online component, and I do. It's making me get a little teared up on that, because in the past, where do they go? They just disappear, and that's a lost opportunity in a lot of ways. So anyways, I'm glad that you were a crazy person during the summer of the pandemic. You're like, hey, I got this.
I'm not sure
Let me have a shot at it. Right? And I mean, it has helped our in-person program development as well. But also, I say Semper Gumby around here, right? We're always flexible, because we already had the technology in place, because we had already been thinking differently. Getting to let the crazy art teacher say, hey, I'm going to create a program from scratch on the fly, let's go. And for it to now becoming that successful part has been really great. Good job, Zach.
thank you.
yes, thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes,
Sorry.
of course. No, don't be sorry.
Is there opportunity for the online students to have a college career readiness type as you have like in person as well too? Because I know they're online. Is there like a class for them to be able to do any college career readiness stuff virtual as well too for them, and they have that as well?
Yeah, we have a prep CC in person, but we also have it
Online as well.
Yes,
Okay.
and then they can also participate, juniors and seniors, in D26. I feel like I had a third thing or something else to follow up with, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, some of the actual class opportunities that actually online kids can have access to, it's actually probably more, well, not probably, there's more opportunities there than what they actually have in person. Although we're doing our own APA online, we also have a partnership with Indiana Online to kind of work some of that stuff in. And then the fact that they can go to D26 in the morning or afternoon, whatever their program dictates, and then continue to do the online program, right? We kind of make like a hybrid weird hybrid co-op partnership, because throw in their workforce stuff too. To make it extra fun, though, the state did announce last week that they're going to be looking at new diploma types.
Yes.
I was really excited about that.
Sorry, what was that?
New diploma types. So, yeah, they
That's what
rolled.
we need.
Yeah, they rolled. And in some cases, it really is right. There's some gray parts to it, but I'm like, you rolled out the pathways, guys. We were starting to kind of figure out what you truly mean by that, right? Because ASVAB got taken away from us, which was really hard because ASVAB's phenomenal assessment, especially for career skills. So we can say, oh, wow, this kid might actually be interested in carpentry. Well, hey, D26 is going to be a good place for you, even if you don't enlist. They changed that. And so we have this new one. I think it's the class of 2029.
Current seventh grader.
I think so.
I was thinking.
Yeah, let me squint at this and see if this one will work.
I was watching that really closely.
So the current requirements sunset, that's my favorite word for you tech people, October 1st, 2028. So making it effective for class of 2029, Indiana's current seventh graders. And so in education, we always gotta keep changing stuff, which good because we're staying with the times, but it's hard to keep learning a new thing. And so the good part of that is it's still going to be rooted in those pathways. So really, this is much more workforce development focused than it's going to be as far as that college career kind of thing, which I have careers in that workforce. But for the way that they have it designed is pretty much freshman and sophomore year are going to be really core academic parts, which pretty much everybody almost is going to take those same type of classes. And then junior and senior year starts to be really flexible and some different ideas. So an interesting thing to toss on in there, but since we're just getting a handle on pathways right now, be a little more helpful to work through that. So, but maybe it'll address the issue with you got all your credits, but your attendance rate wasn't completely right.
And I don't know if this falls under graduation pathways or such. What I was thinking about as well is, does Anderson have anything similar to like Employee Indy, where they work with an employer for so many years? It's kind of apprenticeship for students in high school. And so they work at that same employment for a couple of years as they're in high school, and they get some credits at the end, but they also get apprentice, like rural worker experience like you're talking about. And they do that pretty good at Indianapolis. Employee Indy is a good program that does that.
Yeah, I would say nothing formalized yet.
Okay.
I know it's part of this new GPS part is they want them to do that. We've had a couple, Caitlin Calfee was an example
Yeah,
where she interned out at Anderson Municipal. We've done a lot of our own trying to do that, but there's not a formalized
Like a
group.
Okay.
I hope.
Nestle?
Hmm?
Didn't Nestle start something?
Not with us. We had it's the warehouse next to Nestle. They do actually some cold storage for Nestle. So they did a summer internship for us 2 summers ago, but I don't think they continued this year. That's the hardest part, right? We help start finding some partners or some pathways. Something happens within that company or restructuring. We've been in talks with the ABC Career Center, one of them specifically down in kind of that northwest Indianapolis area. And the hope was to bring some out here, even with like Gaylord Electric, but that's not taken off yet. And I think if Anderson or Madison County did have something more like Employee ND or a formalized group that was actually coordinating all of it,
Yeah.
it would be incredible because we have a lot of industry coming here now, right? A lot of factories popping up, a lot of warehouses, or maybe some non-traditional companies that new to Madison County, new to America in some cases.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic if we could find a way to tap into that. We do have it's at the old Anderson Christian School. It's actually where we're gonna have prom. The Energy Impact Center has opened, and that group is connected with multiple in India as well as here, and they have been talking to us already about some internships. Do you have a kid that's really good at IT? And so I have a kid that belongs in a basement in a federal government building right now. Who do I connect them to, right? Because this kid is either going to take over the world in the great way or run the world in the other way. And so that's at least a foot in the door. But it'd be nice if someone could just knock the door down.
Yeah. I'm happy to put you on in connection with Employee Indy if that's something that you see.
It would be. I'd love to see Madison County get something like that.
And I was gonna say Employee Indy is essentially the Work One in Indianapolis, and we have a Work One here in Anderson as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I could
Work One.
find out who the manager is and stuff. I can get that info and.
That would be fantastic.
That's what I was thinking about the Work One, yeah, because they do that pretty good, especially they work with a lot of schools heavily in that, so.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of our kids, and that has always been the thing about APA, right? Our kids are ready to go into a work environment. Whether they like it or not, they do know that some of our core values, right, they translate very well into, the field. Even if you're going to work at McDonald's, right, and you go to the interview and, oh, hello, sir, nice to meet you, or all that, right? It's just a little bit different. And it's the habits they've developed, or, oh, they know to tuck their shirt in. They don't like it, but they do it. They understand the concept of, what it's like to work collaboratively and those things. And so if we could work through Work One or whatever, some of our kids are going to be amazing at that. And yeah, again, the internships, especially those apprenticeships, right? They're going to be buying us cars later.
So I've got a question.
Okay.
So with the online academy, has there been any thought to perhaps people that have previously dropped out of high school to come back to the online academy to complete that diploma, like maybe even for more APA? I'm just thinking out loud. I didn't know if that's anything that the online academy could go towards or has thought about.
I would say it's not really been something we've formally thought about. Getting into that alternative education realm adds a few new layers to it. There is another charter school, Options Charter School. They're mainly out of Hamilton County, and they do have an online program for more alternative type design. And so we have partnered with them in the past on a couple kiddos to kind of help them through. As far as looking at what we can do within our program, that would probably be more complex than what we're ready to take on. So that's like,
But if
no, wait, I got this. Hang on.
You got it, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, and it is, right? Like, because we are talking about it with the kids that we currently have that are within that age range, right? Where if we didn't have that option, they probably would be done. And so I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to kind of look through that, but knowing that there are some people that already are really great at it. The Excel Center is also a place where we do try to help kiddos get to in a lot of ways, because no matter how old you are, you can get the 440 high school diploma. For us, the age is a problem sometimes. And we have had a couple APA kiddos that maybe came back to me when they were about 23 or 24 and said, hey, I'm literally one credit shy and I really blew it when I was a senior. Like, all right, let's work through that. But that is, I would say, probably a couple year thing before we could really get into that entertainment. So I was like,
I was just
calculating
curious.
the returns.
It's a future growth opportunity.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, for us now, like, the kids are being able to get an APA education in an online environment. And one of the biggest things that we have tried to do is make sure that they can still connect with real humans. It's not that they really want to in some cases, right? But helping them be part of that, and also allowing like APA Online to participate in athletics, right? Participate in show choir, band, esports, giving them the opportunity to still come to all the APA events, right? I think
The social aspect of it as well.
yeah, and I think that has been impactful for a lot of kids because life circumstances, whatever they may be, have shifted that. But getting to have the true school experience, it's different than being in a traditional online school where they don't have any brick and mortar. They don't have any homecoming events to go to or prom or those things. So I don't think it's too bad of an idea. Explore that. We'll get out our stickies. We got a lot of stickies.
Yeah.
If anybody checks their supply list, I think Post-its are probably where we spend a lot of money.
Zach, are you good with us giving your email address for here to potential online parents that have questions regarding wanting more information?
Or is there a different, or like a standard school and they need to go through instead or something? Yeah, or is that okay?
I mean,
And honestly, yours is
probably,
Yes.
Okay.
I can answer questions, and then if they want to move forward with that, then I would just forward them to Andrew Shively.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
because he's our online guru. Our other two guys that are with you, right?
Yeah.
But feel like you might funnel that faster.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know.
I'll
That's
do what I
true.
can.
With one last quick question. When a student is in credit recovery, is that the same content and it's just relabeled in the system, or is it somehow differ in the course?
So it is, you start out with a diagnostic beforehand,
Uh-huh.
and you essentially test out of the content that you know. And
Okay.
then you retake what you don't know.
Okay. So it's not a full repeat.
Was that?
Yeah, it's basically what we use it is to drill down where those deficiencies are.
Yeah.
And so they're not just repeating every single thing they've already taken.
Yeah.
Especially like in the online version, right? If they've been in that online environment, they didn't pass English 9, well, making them go back and do every same video, assignment, all that stuff, that's not what that issue typically was, unless they just checked out, right? And so once they've served the seat time for it, being able to do the diagnostic and the pretest, that helps them make up that credit.
Okay.
We do that in the in-person environment as well. Typically they're on one of our learning curriculums and it's self-paced and it's through that pre-test, post-test type of thing. The only small exceptions to that sometimes are within the math department, where you really have to have some of those foundational algebra skills. But most of that really, it's, why make them retake the same things that they actually already knew or figured out, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
and that goes kind of with that elementary philosophy that we do as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go.
Any other questions?
No. Thank you for your time this evening.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Yes, great job. All right, next thing on the agenda here is the renewal of the food service purchase co-op participation.
Yes.
Jill, was this just on the floor?
No, it was very classily laid on the floor.
We can just unroll it.
But we're fancy and classy around here. We're getting there. So this is a purchasing co-op that we are part of through our food service. This is a statewide co-op. I think there's about I think there's 200-ish schools that participate, and it just helps us with some of that bidding, as well as getting secured prices, things like Prairie Farm milk and those avenues. So just asking to continue to renew that.
And this sounds very familiar. We do this every year, right? Okay, so I'm not sure. I remember it seems like it's been a year already. But,
I know, I'm really confused on months right now. It's not April.
yeah.
It's not possibly April.
Yeah. Well, good. It sounds like everything's going well, and definitely we've been doing it every year. There's no issues, no challenges. Absolutely happy to do so. So we need a motion for this?
Yes.
Okay. If I can get a motion to continue moving forward and approve our renewal of our food service purchase co-op participation program.
I'll make a motion that we process the renewal of the food service purchase co-op.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
Thank you. We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that.
Hey, thank you. We like to save money.
All right. All right, none for discussion. All right, well, it looks like that concludes our meeting for this evening on April 2nd of 2024. Do appreciate everyone who attended and presented. I'm going to call a motion to adjourn our meeting at 7:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I do have the voucher list, so I need autographs on, and then we do have an exec.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:09.
All right, thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, and have a safe night.